Live, brother.
We are live. Hey guys, welcome to today's live stream. We are talking about a not so sexy topic, the topic of heartbreak. And just before this session today, I was talking with Mike about how I'm super excited to share some of my knowledge, some of my experience with you guys surrounding this topic. But heartbreak is it's a very depressing subject, and so while I'm excited to share with you what I've learned through this experience and guiding other men through the heart healing process, man, it's one of those things that is just gut wrenching. It's painful, it's sad, and it's a challenging thing to go through. So today we're going to talk about what heartbreak is. I'm going to share with you the neurochemistry behind heartbreak and why we go to this gut-wrenching dark space that we feel really stuck in at times, and not just the how and the what behind it, but what you can actually do about it. Some things that you can implement in your own life to start healing from heartbreak and moving forward as a stronger, more compassionate, and self-loving man. So let's dive right in. And before I start running off in any direction, Mike, do you add any words or items that we should definitely cover in today's subject of heart healing?
Yeah, I mean, I think back to my past, and it's tough, right? Because like you're super just all in on a chick, and I think a lot of the guys that are in a program, a lot of the guys that are even in the Mindset Secrets group, like they're guys who want to make the most out of life, and I think a lot of the times you develop that all in type of personality, and so we find this girl, she's, oh my God, this could be the woman of my dreams. There's love there, there's trust there, there's this romantic energy to it, and then all of a sudden it ends, right?
Mm.
And there's this feeling of, for me, Scott, it was like, well, who am I now? It was kind of like this confusion of who am I now? What does my future hold? There's this uncertainty, and then maybe sometimes you get those limiting beliefs that come in and go, maybe I am a piece of crap, or maybe I am unworthy, or maybe she was right. She could have said some negative things at the end of the relationship. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'll never really find love. And so this cycle just kind of really, it can become very heavy.
Very heavy. And
So what would I do about that?
and crippling. And let's talk about what you can do about it. I want to share with everybody that's here today what we call the Heart Healer Formula. It's an actual formula that you can apply to your life to heal for it. Before we even dive into that, I think it's important to address really what heartbreak is. And in my work, I've come to realize that heartbreak is beyond just romance. It's beyond losing a woman in our life. Heartbreak is really an emotional experience that is created from grief and loss of someone or something. I mean, it could be the loss of a pet. It could be the loss of a loved one. So what heartbreak leads to is this physical and emotional pain. And I'd like to talk about the core differences between a physical injury and an emotional injury. So physical injury, Mike, like you've been healing from a shattered foot here for the last, 3 years, 4 years now, right?
Yes.
And your body is going through automatic healing process each time you get a surgery or go to PT or do something to better the recovery process. But there's also this emotional aspect tied to that injury. And these emotional wounds are being created from the correlation of the physical injury, things that you can't do any longer, the loss of something that you were once able to do that you can no longer do. And this loss creates a sense of anxiety and maybe depression, maybe this loss of identity and who you were. So, I mean, we talk about the symptoms of heartbreak really being anxiety and depression and just feeling stuck and overwhelmed and unable to really just be my true self. And if we go back to really tying this into romance, there's actually a neurochemical cocktail that is created in your mind that is formulated from love, and it creates an overload of emotional and psychological stimulants. And this neurochemical cocktail I'm talking about is made up of oxytocin, it's made up of serotonin, and it's made up of dopamine. Mm-hmm. So when we mix all of these together, we get this high from being in love. And this neurochemical cocktail that I'm talking about, when we go through a breakup or an extreme loss in our life, our brain actually goes through a withdrawal period, much like a drug addict or an alcoholic. And what our body's subconscious response to that is to try to go get that hit or get that fulfillment or get the love drug from other places, which is why in our work, we talk to guys that default back to really bad habits. Maybe they default back to drinking too much or smoking or doing some other poor behavior just so that they can get their love toxin filled. Again, just get the dopamine, get the serotonin, get the oxytocin that they're getting from that. So all of this heartbreak really leads to symptoms of extreme anxiety, feeling depressed and stressed and just feeling stuck and creating real brain fog, not being able to step into being the man that somebody truly wants to become. So we've talked here over the last 10 minutes about what heartbreak is. We talked about the neurochemistry of heartbreak, but let's talk about what you can do about it. And I think one of the other symptoms of heartbreak that we didn't talk about was isolation. Heartbreak can create not just a sense of isolation, but actual isolation where I close myself off from my friend network, I close myself off from my family. And in the worst case scenario, your girlfriend or your ex-wife or whomever it might be is likely the curator or creator of a lot of the relationships that you once were connected to. So isolation and heartbreak often goes hand in hand. It's like this ripple effect. It's a secondary loss effect of breaking up. I'm not just losing my girlfriend or my wife. I'm also losing my friends. So there's like multi-layers of loss that come hand in hand, which is why when we talk about a remedy, a formula to actually heal from heartbreak, the first element is social support and making sure that we have a really strong group of either friends or mentors or coaches or therapists or people to go to that can hold us up emotionally when we feel just like broken creatures.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly right. Like I can think too, you kind of were talking about the heartbreak from the injury that I had. And I isolated pretty much for like a year. I really neglected going and hanging out with friends and just doing things because I hated kind of being the guy that was, injured and hobbling around. Really, I mean, it took me a long time to actually realize that I did that, but I did do that. And I can also think back to the past from like kind of romantic heartbreak that I've had where, just totally swear off chicks and just be like, you know what, screw it. I'm never going to the dating scene. I'll just wait until I find the one. And you know what I mean? And so we do these things, but I think a lot of the times you don't even realize that you're doing it.
Yeah. Don't even realize it. And as men, the last person in the social circle that we want to be is the downer, right? Like we want to be the optimistic, positive guy that brings good energy to the social circle. And the last thing that we want to do is bring people down and have that. In depression and anxiety, when we're in that state, we don't even generally want to connect socially. We don't want to. So the withdrawal from socializing is actually a response to those symptoms that guys experience through heartbreak as well. Yeah. And this kind of leads us straight into the next element of heart healing. And this next element is mental reprogramming, like reprogramming our thoughts so that we can change our emotions and actually change our reality. See, I think it's so easy to get stuck in a negative feedback loop, and literally a feedback loop from hell that just leads to self-sabotage when we continue to respond from this emotional state of anxiety and depression and not feeling worthy and thinking really terrible things about ourselves.
No.
I mean, really, really bad things can ensue. And Mike, I mean, you've become very much a master of mental reprogramming. I mean, can you just maybe share 2 or 3 tips that people might implement to begin to reprogram some of their negative thoughts?
Yeah, the first and most important thing is that you don't engage, right? You don't engage. And so um, I think a lot of the times with mental reprogramming, we think that there's, and I tried this because I spent years trying to overcome some of my self-sabotaging thoughts, Scott, some of which you know very well. And the reality is that the way that you win the game is by not playing. And when a thought comes in that you don't like, and definitely maybe you've got one that's a super reoccurring thought, you know, the more you try to just be like, oh, this thought's a problem, and I've got to like do some affirmation or do something to change it or whatever, you just give the thought power. You actually just give it increased importance, right? You're essentially saying that, oh, this is a problem. This thought's not allowed to be here. And it's raising importance. It's putting that thought actually on a pedestal. So the next time that it comes in, you're just going to become frustrated, right? Because you're going to keep doing some affirmation or some little hack trick thing to make it go away, and it's just going to keep coming back. The key with thoughts that you don't like is really just being an observer and recognizing that these thoughts are outside of you. They're not a part of you, although they may feel real because you experience some anxiety or some emotional discomfort or fear that accompanies the thought. However, it's not a real thing. It's completely outside of you. It's fear-based. You want to be able to observe your thoughts like it's a cloud, right? Like it's a cloud kind of passing in. Oh, there it is. Okay. And just let it go. Let it go. And over time, if you do this practice, these thoughts that have caused you so much pain will dissipate. I can absolutely tell you that. And then the second thing that I like to do, one of the most powerful tools there is visualization. I think maybe we've done a live about this before, Scott, but we could probably do another one where, you're in a meditative state. And essentially what you want to do is you want to just start visualizing your best self, right? The way that person thinks, acts, speaks, and really just try to generate some emotion in that visualization. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole here because it's too long to explain it, but essentially really using these meditations 10 to 15 minutes a day, morning and night, visualizing how you really want to show up in the world. And when you do that, really great things will happen. I'm not going to go too deep into visualization, but those two tools specifically have been life-changing for me.
Brilliant. Yeah. And I mean, we talk about in the heart healing process, part of the whole formula is developing a practice of self-love, and an evening meditation practice, actually meditating on what it looks like and feels like to really love thyself, is a critical aspect to reprogramming your psychological state.
Well, and I'll share this with you here, Scott, because this is something that I read to you the other day, because it's something that I need to read to myself every now and then, but it's this right here. We have the need to be accepted and to be loved by others, but we cannot accept and love ourselves. The more self-love we have, the less we will experience self-abuse. And self-abuse or self-sabotage, it comes from self-rejection. And self-rejection comes from having an image of what it means to be perfect and never measuring up to that. So our image of perfection, of like, oh, this Mike Morelli, this is exactly who the best version of me is, and I'm not him, so I get frustrated, and then I don't accept myself. And when I don't accept myself the way that I am, I don't accept the way that other people are. And when I do that, I become negative, I become judgmental, and I'll sabotage myself. It all boils back down to self-love and acceptance. Always, every time. There is no one outside of you, there is no thing outside of you that can truly make you feel true peace and love. It's internal. It's an internal thing. So it has to be inside of you. It can't come from outside of you. But that's why heartbreak sucks so much.
Yeah, and the reason we put mental reprogram before behavioral reprogramming is because we can't change our actions if we don't first change our thoughts.
Yeah.
We can't change our actions if we don't start to really observe our emotional state and allow those emotions to completely run their course. But the next element in this formula is behavioral reprogramming, changing our habits, changing our responses to the thoughts and emotions that we're experiencing. I mean, Mike, we understand deeply that humans are thought, emotion, action machines, meaning we're taking actions based on what we're thinking and feeling, ultimately based on what we're feeling. So, I mean,
can you say that one more time for everyone, just so everyone really understands that?
Absolutely. So we are thought, feeling, action machines, meaning that our mind is programmed to take action based on how we're feeling. So we think, we feel based on what we're thinking, and then we take an action actually based on what we're feeling, not based on what we're thinking, most times. Now, the ability to actually merge our intuition and our logic to take actions is a completely different conversation. But the point being here is that in order to change our actions, to change our behaviors, especially when we're under extreme stress and grief and loss and anxiety and depression and just feeling really stuck from heartbreak, we have to first reprogram our mind and then begin to change our responses, change the habits to what we're feeling.
Yep. I mean, straight up, it's like the thought, feeling, action machine is a guy who has a thought of, oh, I'm not worthy enough for love. And then the feeling is some anxiety. Maybe it's anxiety there, or maybe it's low self-esteem. And then the action is, I'm not going to go approach that girl because I have a poor image of myself. That's it right there. I'll use it for my injury. My thought used to be, oh my, like I would, it'd be like, is your foot healed yet? Is it getting better? And so what I would do is I would get that anxiety, that flash of kind of anxiety through my body, which is saying like, is it getting better? Like, let me look. And so what I would do is I would always like look down at it and like look down at my ankle to see if there was swelling, to see if the alignment was right. And then I would do like little like calf raisers and stuff like that to see if I was getting pain in my ankle. And I did this for years until I really like understood how the algorithm of how human beings work: thought, feeling, action, right? And it starts with here first. That's why Scott and I talk so much about conquering your mind, right? That's why our transformation program is about transforming your mind so you can become the man you're meant to be, right? But it starts here first. And look, this thing is like a computer at the end of the day. And you can program it any way you want, or you can have it be programmed for you. For me personally, I'd rather be the one programming it.
It's interesting too, what we look for, we shall find. Look for pain, you will find pain. You look for peace, you will find peace. Totally. And the fourth element in this whole formula, the heart healing formula that we've created here, is actually letting go. And letting go is such a powerful and overstated word. I think it's something that's very confusing in our world, especially as you start looking into psychology and how does one actually let go, especially of and we're not necessarily talking about letting go of the memories entirely, letting go of the past beliefs and the amazing experiences that you might have had with someone, but actually letting go of the emotions associated with heartbreak instead of resisting them. Because the more we resist the feelings that are coming up caused by heartbreak, the more those feelings have a tendency to persist and amplify out in both emotion, thought, and actions. Brilliant. So when we talk about letting go, there's really three elements to this that you can implement right now. And the first one is to just wake up consciously to the emotions that you are feeling. Just become conscious to what you are feeling, whether that's overwhelm or stress or anxiety or sadness or whatever the emotion might be. Just become conscious of it. And then the second one, rather than resisting that emotion and trying to change it either through thinking different thoughts or doing different things, just allowing that emotion to fully run its course. Just let it run. Let the anxiety fully run out through your body, through your fingertips, through your toes. And then the third element is to actually consciously just ask for more. Just ask your body if there is there more anxiety about this situation? And if so, then please just bring it to me now. Yeah. And just be with it and let it be. And Mike, I think one big reason why guys go through such steep peaks and valleys after heartbreak is because they will experience these emotions, and rather than really experiencing them and allowing them to run their course, they try to avoid them or divert them or change them or repress them or suppress them or express them, rather than just letting them be what they are. So
well said. Yeah. Well said. Guys, if you got any value out of this video, we'd love to just see your comments down below. If there's anything here that you've taken away that says, boom, this is a light bulb moment for me, aha, yeah, drop it down in the comment section below, just so other people can really see too, what you're learning and what's been valuable. And I think it really builds this community here in the Mindset Secrets group. So
Boom. Yeah.